I recently had a completely useless conversation with somebody who has absolutely have no idea what they're talking about. It's something I realized about people. Just because you have a bunch of followers literally doesn't mean that you're right. It doesn't mean that you actually have a point. It doesn't mean that you actually have a point. I've seen people follow people for the dumbest shit. For example, Liver King. You have all these people like, oh yeah, I love you, Liver King, even though he was lying, oh, I love you, I love you. And he was wrong, lying, doing all sorts of stuff, and he still have all these millions of followers. So having a bunch of followers does not indicate that you're correct or right, or whatever. Okay. I recently had a conversation. It wasn't even a conversation. It was just a person just rattling off whatever the fucking belligerent nonsense they were saying, talking about Dr. Angela Davis. And I was just like, the person was like, oh, you're too close to Dr. Angela Davis. You can't think subjectively, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you don't even know me like that. And I thought to myself, and you don't even know her. You're just rattling off whatever nonsense that you think is okay because you're entertaining people. I don't care that you have a bunch of followers. You understand me? I don't care if you have 20, 30, 40, 100 millions. It doesn't matter. The thing is like, people are like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared to say something to somebody. Like, I go to people's faces in authority in real life and check them in real life. Do you really think that I don't have the balls to check you on the internet? Oh, I definitely have the balls to check anyone, especially on the internet. But let me get this clear. Let me get my thoughts straight. Dr. Angela Davis spent her whole life, literally her whole life, doing activist and justice work. And you'll have people talking about her who spend their whole life scamming, getting on, YouTube and talking shit, not contributing anything to the community, just talking about themselves. Oh, me, woe is me, woe is me, but never contributing anything. I often would tell people the stuff that I would do for free to help certain communities, specifically Black Americans, right? And you can see it, like you see it in the money I spent, right, to make sure that people were paid for their work. And like, it trips me out when those same people, when you can look at their whole life and see like, you're selfish. All you do is talk about yourself. There's no, you see what I'm saying? All you do is talk about yourself. Here and there, you'll spend money at this place that has Black people. You'll talk about this thing. You'll do this and so on and so forth. But when someone actually does the work and has been arrested several times, has gone to prison, was locked in solitary confinement, not just locked in solitary confinement, she was locked in the psych ward, Dr. Angela Davis. And these same people would say, well, she's getting paid to go do. Do you know what the academic world is like for minorities, especially Black people, regardless of how light-skinned you think this person is? Do you know what they do to you? I tried to explain to people this, but then people are like, oh, you're just from your perspective. When people say that, you're purposely being dismissive because you don't want to hear what's actually happening. When I say I worked in the academic field for over 4 years, it wasn't just working at one school. That's not how this works because you've never worked in the academic field. You've never worked in the academic field. So of course you're going to say something belligerent and ignorant because you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I even explained there's a reason why instructors charge fees. Do you know what they do to you in academics? They steal from you. They literally they put all these fucking burdens on you when you're a professor, you're an administrator, when you just work there as a staff person, even students. The amount of work and shit they put on minority students, especially Black people, and the kind of like over policing that happens. When you talk to fools, they keep showing what they are. And I'm not going to let anybody say dumb shit about somebody who dedicated their whole life They've dedicated their whole life to activism and education, while you've dedicated your life, and this person knows who I'm talking about, you've dedicated your life to doing scam work, scamming people. You've dedicated your whole life to woe is me and all this stuff, and all these things are happening to me, and I'm not saying this is the thing that happened to me, but I'm gonna talk shit about people who've dedicated their whole fucking life. This woman, Dr. Angela Davis, is like in her 70s or something like that, maybe older. She could have easily gone the route of other people who are academics and turned their back on people. It's something that Dr. Cornel West said. Dr. Cornel West said, academics have failed everybody. He's like, most of these academics turn their back against other people. He didn't do it, and neither did Dr. Angela Davis, even though she could easily do it. Do you know how many fees she waives for people? She can literally get paid whatever the fuck she wants, but she takes discounts. She'll waive fees. She literally, like, when I tell you someone that's dedicated their life, they've dedicated their life. And this is one of the reasons why I don't do videos anymore for free. Because I'm like, first of all, you're going to take information and you don't leave constructive comments. You just talk shit when you don't know what you're talking about. I will no longer waste time dealing with bullshit from people who don't know what the fuck they are talking about. So, again, there's a bunch of other instructors in the world. I talked about this before. Dr. Dawkins. She literally was abused and mistreated. And she's a light-skinned black woman. All these little fucking bullshit, non-sequitur qualifiers that you think are fucking qualifiers to try to explain your little bullshit, you being a horrible human being and being selfish. There are people who bust their ass in education and give every dime, and they get fucking tossed to the fucking wayside because they're not dealing with these corporate institutions. This is what I call them. Corporate institutions want. But you're going to sit off and rattle off some fucking drunken high bullshit. And I hate to put it that way, but what's the other explanation for this fucking rattling off nonsense? You disrespect somebody who spent their whole life fighting against the thing that she could easily conform to, and she hasn't. The mental fortitude, the strength, the gall, the audacity to keep fighting against something that easily suppresses people like her. And to rattle off to say it's some mindly bullshit about, oh, light skin, blah, blah, blah. You don't even understand the woman's work. So go rattle off to something that you actually can do, instead of talking shit about somebody who's given their whole life to fighting back against this shit. You selfish person.